everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of the Capital Region Business Podcast. I'm joined today by my co-host, Mike Field. My name is Ryan Hanley, and we're pretty excited. We've done a lot of prep for this. I don't know that I've ever prepped so much for anything, Mike. I'm usually just a run and gun kind of guy. You're much more prepared than I am. And I think that's part of why we decided to do this podcast. You know, we come from very different, I don't want to say very different, but we have different aspects, different vantage points on the capital region, doing business here, different backgrounds in terms of our work experience, the companies that we both operate and are part of. And man, it's just, I'm excited to be on here and start rapping different business stuff with you, man.
Yeah, no, I think this was your idea, and I think it was a good one. And I'm excited to mix it up. Especially with the people, there's so many people out there that I don't get to run into or kind of go deep with different levels, like in all the different businesses, and yeah, I think it's going to be pretty exciting. I'm hoping people get a lot of value out of it, and yeah, I'm psyched.
Yeah, my genesis for this was really, I tend to nerd out on business, nerd out on anything that I find interest in, business being one of those things. And you and I are both part of a mastermind-ish group. I don't know exactly how you'd want to put it together, but a group of people that gets together. And I found that you liked to dive into topics and ideas at like that, below the surface level, just like I did. And we kind of really connected on that. You're part of, specifically for the real estate industry. You like to you listen to these mastermind calls, people who you fly to San Diego every year and network with people and learn stuff. Like you really work hard on your craft, beyond just like the next gimmick or scheme that can get you another client. And I would love to believe that I'm the same way. And I think that's why, I started to say to myself, like, geez, there's got to be something here where we can talk about, one, this community that we're both part of and serve with our businesses, and help find more people who kind of think this way, right? That are a little bit nerdy about doing business in this area, or just business in general, success, personal growth, all that kind of good stuff, and spotlight them, put them, kind of bring them in, and that'll be a big part of the show. Will be interviews.
I think for me, like when I meet with somebody and they tell me they do, like, I don't know, pick some job, they're in charge of logistics for getting, this widget to these sites, and for me, I grew up in this, like, my dad's been doing real estate since '75. So for me, it was like, you're a fireman, you're a doctor, you're a real estate guy, you're an insurance guy, so like for me, I think when I talk to people and network, like you said, like when we do these masterminds and you start to learn about other people's like day-to-day businesses, like to me, that's what it's just interesting to me to get other people's perspective on what they do day to day. Cause I'm so caught up in what I do in my routine that it's like, man, what would it be like to be these people doing these other businesses, and then to learn like the challenges and objectives and growth strategies and all those sorts of things. I just think, ultimately you're learning from them, but it's just interesting to hear other people's, perspective.
I also think there's a lot that you can learn from if you open up your mind, and really listen to people as they talk, and not just wait for like your turn to respond, I guess. You can get a lot from strange places, right? Someone's, like you said, doing logistics for a large manufacturing company, right? Or one of our mutual friends, Redmond, who's working in hospitals, right? And he's sharing with us this strategic meeting process that is like taking their business to a whole nother level. And I had never even heard of what he was talking about.
Right.
But once he started to break it down, I was like, oh, wow, there's a lot of really valuable stuff in there. And then I went and researched the process, and I started talking to my wife about it and said, hey, this is something that you should think about maybe for your business, because, it applies to companies your size. And you think hospital guy, insurance guy, like there would be nothing where would we connect really? You know what I
How
mean?
about, not to interrupt you, but how about at that meeting, we both, I had just come back from San Diego for a conference, literally like 2 weeks before. And I had learned this system of management within our team. And it was, it's called the West Coast offense for business, right? And then as I'm talking about it at that meeting, he's like, wait a minute, we had that, like his company did it, but like related to, healthcare. And here I am thinking like this only works for real estate, but to find out like this major company, he's already gone through this before, like with his, so that connection was, I was kind of blown away by that. I didn't put that together,
And I think it's these experiences over the last few months that have really solidified in my mind the importance of what I hope this podcast can be, is a platform for local business professionals, Capital Region business professionals of all shapes and sizes who have something to share, who this isn't like a place for people to come on and just pitch their products. Like I want to talk to people who have a methodology, a sales process, a marketing function, a leadership function, or they're really dynamic at HR or whatever their thing is, and start to share that with everyone else. Because if there's anything I've learned, and I'm sure if you've thought about it for a second, then someone else has had that same thought or that same struggle. And I would like this to be one of the platforms in the Capital Region that helps get those voices out for others to hear.
I think that the takeaways, right? Once you bring a guest on, and we're going to introduce these guests beforehand, right? So, our objective is obviously to bring guests on, introduce them, kind of walk through their theories and methodologies and all that, and then I think you never know what you're going to take away from it, right? And that's the other thing I kind of like is that we're bringing these people on unscripted, whatever. We're gonna just shoot the stuff with them, and as things go, it'll be a natural conversation that hopefully you guys get to feel like you're in that, in that at that round table or whatever it is, just kind of being there with us, So that I'm hoping that gives that type of feel.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this and this sounds like something that you're interested in, something you want to listen to, you can find this podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Go to capitalregionbusiness.com. You can subscribe by email, which is not like a big marketing thing. We'll just push new episodes out via email so when they hit, if you're interested in that. Or you can find all the ways to subscribe to the show, iTunes, and like I said, wherever you listen to podcasts, it'll be available. And if you're interested in being a guest, and Mike and I have a list of people that we know, but we'll probably at some point that list will run dry. And what we'll be doing is just probably asking guests for more people they know. I mean, like we said, this is really meant to be a platform to share interesting and dynamic ideas. And I think that we have such a tremendous community here, and it's important that we get to know each other better than we already do. I mean, look, I think, and this is something that I wanted to talk about, and then I think it's important, maybe Mike, for us to even introduce ourselves. But I think it's important. One of the things I think is particularly interesting about Mike and I's dynamic is I was a local business person for about 8 years. I worked for the Murray Group Insurance Services, which is located over on Western Ave. My wife and her family owned that insurance agency, and still to this day. And about 5.5 years ago, I left that agency to go work for what ended up being, over the course of those 5 years, 2 national companies. I was the chief marketing officer for 2 national companies, and then I worked locally for a company as well for about 9 months. But during that time away, it's that when you're flying, when your commute to work every day is an airplane, your perspective on things changes. Not right or wrong, but it does. And I think what's really interesting is now that I own my own insurance agency and I'm coming back to being a local provider of services, it has been it's been challenging to re-engage myself in the local community, because you almost feel like it's passed you by, right? Like I was part of this thing. I knew who to hang out, not who to hang out with, like a cool club, but I knew like where to go to meet people. I knew, if I wanted to get in front of somebody, I knew who to call. I knew the events that I wanted to go to. And then to be gone, you feel, it's a very odd feeling to be so disconnected from the town that you actually live in. Like I said this to you when I first started working at home again. I was like, dude, I feel like a stranger in the town that I grew up in because I've been gone.
In one sense, it's got to be kind of, I think myself, and I'm the farthest thing from that. I'm a total homebody, obviously, but like in one sense, you figure, oh man, it's cool. Like you can shut the work off. You go away, you come back. Obviously, there's going to be things you're going to be taken care of, but just to go there, do your business, and come back, right? If that's what you're doing, there's a certain glamour, or kind of, it seems like it would be a nice thing to do, and you get to visit different places and that. But you've told me before that was a grind, right?
Well, yeah, it's glamorous for like the first 3 or 4 trips.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's like you're sleeping on, you miss a plane because this plane, the weather in this city, and then you're not able to see your kids go to school the next day because you're sleeping in some flea bag motel that the airplane put you up in. And dude, it's like, and then the other part of it too is like, and look, I wouldn't trade the experience that I have on a national level for anything, right? Like, it's been tremendous. And frankly, I think I've matured. I think when I was working at the Murray Group with my wife and her father, I was a very immature professional. Not necessarily like I wasn't like farting at work or anything, but like, you know what I mean? Like I hadn't really gotten into a place where I think I really understood what doing business was all about. Like what the real core aspects, what you're really trying to do for people. Right. I think I learned that on my own, away for whatever reason. But there is an odd sense, dude. Like, you roll into, I know it's probably sometimes a burden too, but like you roll around town, like, Field Realty's on the side of your truck. Like you walk into Stewart's or whatever, like, people there, like you're very connected to what's going on. And, for me, it's almost the opposite. Like I almost feel like I walk around and I'm like, I feel like a stranger. So part of this for me is I almost want to learn from you and all the things that you've done, to be such a crucial part of the ecosystem, particularly in the area that we live.
Well, again, I kind of believe, it was more of a lazy approach than anything, probably originally. Like, I knew I wanted to do real estate when I was 15. So like even in high school, I'd see my dad, and, I always tell people, we'd be driving down like a street, and he'd be like, what's that house worth? And I'd be like, nah, and I'd tell him a number. He's like, man, you're right. It was within like $5,000 of what it was worth, and we would just always kind of mess, that was just kind of a thing I did. And I'm not saying that's what got me into it, but actually another funny story, when I was a kid, a lot of people don't know this, but so my dad Rick's been doing this since 74. And when I used to mess up in school, he used to be like, all right, that's cool. Someday you're going to open house with me, and we're going to sit at Gertrude's house. So I'd be sitting in this old lady's house, and we'd be pulling out of the driveway, and I'd be in the back of my dad's car, and I could see my buddies out there like playing football or whatever, lacrosse, whatever. And we'd be driving down, and I'd be like miserable, shaking my head, and they'd be like, come on, like, what are you doing? And I'd go sit at this lady's house. She had like 4 TV channels, and I'm like miserable all day because I'm sitting in open house. But in hindsight, it helped me learn the language. And like I said, when I was like 15, I just knew I had to, I don't know why. Again, maybe it's just because I already knew the language and I didn't want to challenge myself to try to figure something else out. But on the other side of it was like, if you already know it and you have an interest in it, just run with it, right? And luckily it's worked, but yeah. So back to that being, part of the community, and we're very much, that's a blessing and a curse. Like, as much as it would interest me on some levels to pick up and, move to somewhere exotic and beautiful where it doesn't look like it does this morning, there, you can't, because you're 3 generations deep here with a family business that, there's been a lot of work to kind of lay the groundwork to get to that point. And, it just, again, it's a blessing, no doubt about it, but it's also one of those things that You can't go to, Tucson, Arizona. Nobody's gonna know who you are. You can't go to, Miami or, even Arlington, Virginia. So anyways, that's just kind of, but to
Well,
your point, the
the one thing
community.
I'll say about that is having traveled as much as I have over the last, half a decade, that every place has its warts, right? Like I think it's
Sure.
easy. I think it's easy to take the capital district because we only get 66 days of sunshine a year, which is ludicrous. And
What?
yeah, we get like 66. This came out like 2 years ago or something. We get like 66 days of full sunshine a year. We're like on the bottom 10th of all towns, of all like
I,
major metropolitan areas in the country.
I wonder
We're
what
like in the
Seattle
bottom
is.
bottom of the list.
Yeah,
Uh,
I wonder what Seattle is.
It's about the same. Yeah, we're about the same as Seattle. Yeah. We're 69 and they're 66, something like that. Well, my point is, and like it's tough to do business in New York State. I mean, that's for sure too. They certainly don't make it easy on you. But I think there's a lot of dude, you go to some of these other places and there's a lot of warts that those places come with too.
Right.
So I think that, having been away and come back, I'm very happy that this is where I raise my kids and where, my wife owns a local business and now I own a local business. Like, I could have chosen, for all intents and purposes, I could have chosen a lot of different things to do. And I chose to set up shop here and start a business here because I do believe in the prosperity of our area. I know that, we're doing this episode, the coronavirus craze is in full swing. It kind of takes me to my next point, but like, I think now more than ever, I think starting this podcast is a very positive thing. I want everyone to know that. This is a very positive thing in our minds. We're trying to do it for very positive reasons because with everything that's going on and we wish nothing, I'll speak for you, Mike, because I know you'd agree.
Yeah.
I think we wish everyone nothing but their health and the health of their family members. And we need to be safe and smart and kind to one another with everything that's going on. And, just to epitomize, I think you and what I think of someone who really does quality local business, what it's all about was this Facebook post that you put out that I want to read for everybody. And if you can go to Mike's Facebook page or go to Capital Region Business Podcast Facebook page, I'll have like a screenshot of it and a link so you can check it out. But I just want to read this for everyone because to me, like now more than ever, like people are, whether you're bought into coronavirus is very serious or not. Mike, you said it when we started this show before we hit record, right? Like we're going to find out.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important that we are understanding and kind to one another because this is going to freak people out. And if it doesn't freak you out, that's perfectly fine. And you have that right to not be freaked out. But I think what's good is that we help each other and we work through that. And you wrote this post and I just want to read it because I think it's awesome. You wrote, "I'm not an alarmist. My glass is always half full. I'm not elderly. I'm not diabetic. My heart is strong. I work a lot and have flexibility. If you or someone you know is concerned about being out in public, I'm happy to pick up prescriptions, water, food, whatever, except toilet paper. I'm not looking for a cage brawl over TP," with a couple happy face emojis. And then you put your cell phone number in there. And to me, when I saw it this morning before, a couple hours before we even went on, and I just was like, that's really like, you're not making light of it, but you're letting people know like, hey, like, we can get through this thing. Yeah. And also from, I don't know how many people are going to take you up on your offer, but you got a lot of people ringing you up.
I'm flexible. Like I said, man, Cheryl, one of my friends, Cheryl, she's the, I guess, GM over at Fantastic Sam's. And she said, like, can you walk the dog? I said, dude, tell me where the key is, man. And anybody who knows me knows I'm not a dog guy. But that dog is cool. Quincy's my man. Yeah.
So, like in your mind, when you post something like that, like what are you, is it just, you're just like, this feels like something I should do, or
people are freaking out. Like I'm looking at this thing going like, come on, you gotta keep a level head here. There's a lot of opportunity for you to just funk out and just, you look at somebody coughing in the store or something and it's really easy to be like, get that dude away from, whatever. But it's like, look at, like you said a couple minutes ago, help each other out. Like, what do you need? Let's get through it. We're hoping this is a very temporary thing, right? So a couple weeks from now, we'll be cleared. Dust will settle, and we'll be good. So my intention was just, hey, just everybody chill out. If you need something, and that's not me, everybody. We have a great community here where, I think that's the thing that gets lost when you think about, upstate New York. Like, everybody's pissed off and miserable and this and that. There's a lot of good people around here looking to help each other out, and in most cases, use an opportunity like this to try to do that.
Yeah. So, man, I think we've set the stage pretty well for our first episode for everyone. This is I'm pretty excited to really kick this thing into gear. Next week we should have our first interview podcast. We'll see about the cadence. We've talked about every other week. Talked about every week. We'll see. We're both running businesses, which we haven't even mentioned either one of them yet, which is a good thing probably. But so we'll get the cadence right. We'll get the interviews right. But we hope that you enjoy this. I hope you guys buy into the process.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, so what we're thinking here is weekly episode, whether it's Ryan and I kind of getting into stuff, current event topics, that sort of thing, or whether it's going to be having a guest on and going through that in more of a, kind of like a semi-business spotlight of that person, but also digging in and kind of, just finding out about more of what they have to offer the community and kind of what the community does for them and how they're tied to it and all that. So on a weekly basis, it could be one of those two shows. But either way, right, one thing you did mention, I don't think, is the Facebook page, right? Capital Region Business Podcast.
Yep. So we have a Facebook page, Capital Region Business Podcast, and we'll be announcing. So if you follow the podcast page on Facebook, we'll be announcing as soon as we get guests in the hopper. Which we have some, we just haven't announced them yet. We'll be announcing them and stuff out there so you can see who's coming, and you'll get new episodes and all that kind of stuff.
And they can do playback, right? Like, so if they don't catch it here, they could. We're gonna post it on the page as well.
Yep. So we'll have links to the podcast episodes. We'll have again, if you subscribe through iTunes or Stitcher or Overcast, then you'll get the episodes through there. But we'll make sure that we always post it on the Facebook page, and then I'm sure you and I will be posting them when they come out as well. So any announcements that we have about, like I said, about guests or anything. And then if you have topics that you want to hear people talk about, if you have comments, questions about the show, hit us up on the Facebook page. Hit either one of us up directly. You can always email me. I'm Ryan at roguerisk.com. Happy to answer any questions. If you want to be a guest on the show, or someone who'd be a great guest, hit me up. I'm sure you can do the same with Mike. Yeah. And happy to get people kind of queued up and start telling people stories.
Yeah. Good stuff. All good here.
Awesome. Well, everyone, thank you for tuning into our first show. It's very exciting. Mike and I have been talking about this for a few months. Finally glad that we got it going. And like I said, we thank you for listening. Make sure you subscribe. Go to capitalregionbusiness.com. You can find all the ways to subscribe there. And with everything that's going on in the world, just try to be kind and understanding to each other. Have a level head. Understand that we're all going to get through any of the troubles that we have. And find Mike's Facebook post, and he'll be like your personal Grubhub for you if you need it.
Hit me up.
All right, guys.
Thanks, Ryan.